Welcome to One Brooklyn, presented by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. On this edition of One Brooklyn, Brooklyn Borough President Adams joins with local leaders in the Borough Park neighborhood of Brooklyn for a press conference and walkthrough of the neighborhood to speak with residents, distribute masks, and hear safety issues from residents.
Okay, thank you all for being here. I would like to take this moment to thank our Borough President, Eric Adams, for coming here to Borough Park, for coming to the Borough Park Jewish Community Council, and for being here at a time when the world is going through so much of a crisis, and in Borough Park we're all experiencing this, as is every other neighborhood. And to have a Borough President come here, it's a very meaningful step, and we really look forward to hearing from the Borough President his thoughts about what we're currently in the midst of and what could be done to make a better tomorrow, to make things better for us. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Borough President for bringing here thousands of masks, which will be distributed for people in the community that need these masks. Just being here is an incredible show of support, and we're grateful for the Borough President, and thank you so much. I also want to take this moment to thank and to welcome our Councilman Kalman Yeager. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for being our Borough Park's councilman. We'll be hearing today from Elon Kornblum as well, from Great Kosher Restaurants. We'll be talking a bit about what the restaurant industry is suffering. Yossi Itzkowitz will be here, may be here soon. If not, we'll be going by his store shortly from Toys for You, speaking on what really local businesses, small businesses are experiencing now and what they're really suffering, and how we together can come together to help small businesses get through these very trying and difficult times. So we're a day after Yom Kippur, and we're a couple of days before the holiday of Sukkot, and it's a time of celebration, time of spending time with people, with friends, with family. And in the midst of all of this, we are dealing with this unprecedented crisis. And so we're going to be talking about some solutions. We're very eager to hear from the Borough President to tell us a bit, some perspective, some ideas, some insight as to what we're going through and what we can do to improve our situation and hopefully get through this crisis with the least amount of damage. I'll take this opportunity to welcome Borough President Eric Adams. Thank you again for coming to the Borough Park Jewish Community Council.
Thank you so much, and really want to thank the Borough Park JCC. We have come together on several different initiatives throughout the years. It's an amazing organization. And Alex is not here, Alex Rappaport from SPEAR, another organization that's on the ground and deals with the food insecurity that occurs in this community, and communication, which is so important. And Elon Kornblum, the Great Kosher Restaurants, thank you so much, as he talks about, and he will engage in what has happened all over this city in the restaurant industry and how we must come together. And oftentimes, some people stated that restaurants are for the rich. I know a different story as a former dishwasher in a restaurant, helping pay bills. Restaurants are for the everyday people that allows them to provide a living standard in their homes. And so, Elon, I thank you. We're going to continue to partner with him as we transition to get our restaurants open. And, our Councilman Kalman Yeager understands the severity of this pandemic that is national in scope. It's crucial that government policymakers, the public, our faith-based institutions, our organizations, that we all come together. That's what this is about, and that is so important to me. So I'm here today, not only here in Borough Park but we're going to be going throughout the city to deal with this issue. Wherever there is any form of call of services, we're going to partner with organizations like the Sharm. We're going to partner with Reverend Terry Lee in Flatbush. We're going to partner with our allies in any area of the city to get on the ground. Because you can't solve issues if you stay far removed. You come to the local organizations, the local JCCs, the local community-based organizations. This is how we solve problems. The mistake we made at the beginning of COVID-19, instead of communicating on the ground, we thought we could solve the problem by just doing briefings as though everyone received their information that way. Instead of reaching out to traditional organizations to actually go out and implement an on-the-ground plan like we're going to do today, handing out masks. And then the solutions are on the ground. There's no reason communities like these, communities throughout the city, that they cannot partner with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, do their own testing under the supervision of the city, in partnership with the city, to understand the cultural norms of the amazing diversity in the city, utilizing the form of testing that the city would approve. You have advocates in this community and other communities who are willing to actually put up the cost to make sure the testing is done according to the city standards. But we are recognizing the cultural norms of those communities. This is not a one-size-fits-all to a multiple, extremely complicated pandemic. It's going to take communication, all the languages, understanding in all the cultures, and be willing to think differently on how do we cater the approach for different communities. This is not a moment to attack each other. This is not a moment to demonize each other. This is a moment where we as New Yorkers must come together and find out, how do I bring you to the comfort level so we can resolve the issues by communicating with you, coordinating with you, and coming to a solution. So we've been looking at the numbers, and we know that our entire city must come together and resolve this. That's why I'm in this community today, and I'm going to be moving around to other communities as well, because all of the city must become conscious on how do we make sure we don't spike in upcoming years. And one of the best ways, in upcoming months, one of the best ways we can do it, we must make sure this is the safest flu season in history. If we don't want to go into a potential increase in October and November, like many of our medical professionals stated, we may, and have to deal with the flu virus. So part of what I'm going to do today as we move around, hand out masks, and go to some of our great organizations like JCC, Maspia, is that we are going to talk about how do we get those flu shots early, how do we have Maimonides hospitals and some of our local organizations, some of our businesses, some of our other groups, how do we get people to take the flu shot so that we won't be dealing with two crises that we can prevent. And so that's why I'm here today. I'm here today to say to every community in the city, including Borough Park, I'm going to come on the ground, I'm going to meet with your leaders, your organization, and I'm going to say, how do we do a plan together to understand your cultural norms, to understand the best way to get the results we're looking for? How do we partner with city government and ensure that we protect the lives of people in our city? And that's why I'm here. I've partnered with organizations like JCC, Sharm, other organizations, the local council person, local electeds. We've done this before under difficult times. We can do it again under these times. We are going to save lives throughout this entire city. It was a mistake when some on the national level called coronavirus a pandemic attached to one group. We're not going to make that mistake again by attacking one particular group in the city. We will survive this together, and that's the goal that we want to accomplish. And so I thank all of you for coming together as we make this a safe city for all of us. And I'm going to do my part. I did my part when coronavirus first came here and moved into Borough Hall and went into public housing, went into various communities, partnered with some of the local community-based organizations. I'm going to continue to do my part until we deal with this crisis of COVID-19 and we're able to get back to some sense of normality. Again, thank you all for coming and allowing me to do this. Yes, sir.
Hershey Tischler from the Justin F. Hershey Show. Your record is stellar, helping in not only our community, but many communities. And as we address our concerns, it's not that we don't mind working with the city. Our wonderful councilman was very concerned about us in the JCC. We'd like to, and of course, as I mentioned to you before, independently like to give the city its own testing. We would like to be there for the testing. The health department can oversee what we do and the numbers we will present, because our councilman is more worried about our people than the fake numbers that are being produced. And as you know, those numbers that the health department have produced by Dr. Yair, he even said 50% of it is incorrect. So, Mr. Borough President, would you be able to set up some kind of an independent organization with our community leaders, with our activists, as well as to be supervised by our councilmen, not only for Borough Park, Flatbush, and Media, but all of the communities, put an independent community independent commission together to watch, to really give the real numbers out and to see how to help our people.
That is one of the best suggestions I've heard throughout the COVID-19. One of the things we suffered in this pandemic is the lack of faith and the lack of trust from government. The lack of faith and the lack of trust from government. And so I am going to put together that independent conversation. My team is going to meet with, we're going to reach out to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. We're going to partner with the councilman, and we're going to sit down and say, if there's a real desire to address an issue in any community, part of the planning of the execution should involve local community leaders. And if you're saying that all we want government is to be a partner to ensure that the numbers are right, that the testing is done right, and that we're using the right testing equipment that you also state is appropriate, that is the least that we can do in government, and I would like to be a partner in making sure that that happens.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Borough President Eric Adams, for your very inspiring words, for being here, and for your support and your commitment going forward. Thank you so much. I'm about to call up the local councilman, our councilman, Kalman Yeager, to speak a few minutes, but I just wanted to acknowledge Morty Getz, who's a business owner from the community. Morty will also be speaking in a moment. Also on what our local businesses are currently going through. And I just want to point out on Morty that he's a philanthropist and is helping this community in such significant ways. Morty has set up single-handedly is funding a program to help give free groceries on an ongoing basis, I think on a never-ending basis, to orphans and widows from COVID-19. This is just unbelievable, really, really so fortunate that you're here, and thank you for everything you're doing for this community. I'd like to introduce our councilman, Kalman Yeager, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. First, I just want to acknowledge, because it needs to be said, even though it really doesn't, but this is not the first time that the Borough President walked the streets of Borough Park when we were under attack. It's not the first time, and just a few months ago, it seems like years ago, we stood in front of Eichler's, and the Borough President gave us his shoulder at a time when we were actually still allowed to lean on people's shoulders in public to cry on when we were under attack. And it seems like just yesterday, we were under vicious, violent attack in this city on a daily basis. And a lot of it, I said it publicly, I said it on the floor of the city council, was caused by the media, was caused by the vicious hatred that the media has for our community. And we are seeing that raise its ugly head again in many different ways. So we're going to talk about a lot of moving parts that are happening at the same time. First of all, it's very clear that there are more cases today in Borough Park of positive than there were 10 weeks ago, 20 weeks ago. That by itself is concerning, but we also have to talk about what that means. Because we also know that our hospitals are not filling up, right? We know that, Baruch Hashem, we haven't seen levayas. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be vigilant. And there are things we can do to keep from rolling backwards. We worked very, very hard, Senator Felder, Assemblyman Eichenstein, myself, the JCC, business leaders, the borough president, in trying to get the recovery kicked off as quickly as possible, to get our yeshivas back open, to get our shuls back open. We fought for sleepaway camps. We couldn't get that, but we got day camps. We fought hard to get things, and we had successes. It's too vital, those successes that we were able to get, to allow to risk that they roll back at this point. So what do we have to do? It's very simple. Wearing masks is literally the easiest thing we can ask people to do. It is literally the easiest thing. It doesn't take any great effort. The masks are available. Our president's giving them out for the last few months. My office has been giving them out. My senator and assemblyman have been giving them out. Community organizations, the JCC, we've been distributing them in businesses throughout the district. We've been distributing hand sanitizers. There are things that are so basic and simple to do that it doesn't even merit arguing whether or not it's, yes, should we do it? No, should we do it? Just do it. What's the point in arguing why not to, when it's so clear that wearing a mask is safer than not wearing a mask? That's not debatable. What's also not debatable is that in our community, our yeshivas opened up at least a month at this point earlier than public schools. By the time public schools open up, it may even be 2 months earlier. We were bound to see more cases as more people mix and mingle. That's a reality. But the question is, does that reality mean that we're an irresponsible community? No. We are a loving community that takes care of one another. You have never seen in this city a community that, like ours, the charity, the health care, the things that are done for one another, that are done for free just because we want to help each other. This is not a community that's risking lives willy-nilly. This is not a community that's endangering ourselves willy-nilly. You read the press, you would think that we're all trying to kill each other, we're all trying to spread a pandemic across the city. This is not something new that we've been accused of. We've been accused of this for hundreds and hundreds of years all across the world. This is an ancient, ancient accusation against the Jewish people. That it's in 2020 and in the New York Post and in the New York Times and in the local papers and on TV doesn't make it new. It just means they're using a new method of distributing that misinformation. What I saw when I walked here today from my office, people on the streets wearing masks. Not everybody, but it's also important to remember what we were told was when you're on the street, you don't have to wear a mask. That's what we were told. We were told if you're walking on the street and you're not walking with strangers, you don't have to wear a mask. If the facts have changed, as the borough president says, the government has an obligation to educate. In a free society, the government can't bark instructions at a community and expect compliance without saying why. You don't want us to go through a red light? I get that. But explain that red lights save lives because it gives people the opportunity to cross safely. That's the point of government. This is a free society. And we want people to do right, but we also demand that government explain the methodology behind what they're talking. And as the question was, what is the methodology? What are we talking about? Are we talking about numbers? What does that mean? Where are these numbers? What are they based on? And I believe this firmly, and everything that I've seen and all the people in our community that we've been talking to, in our community, people are not going for random free testing. They're just not. Now, I'm not saying they should, I'm not saying they shouldn't, I'm saying a fact. They are not. The average healthy person on the street is not going to line up for free testing. They haven't been doing it for the last few months. It doesn't mean we can't change that, but they haven't been doing it. So what does that mean? Who is getting tested? People with a propensity to already be ill, people who have exhibited some kind of symptoms or symptomatic in some way, and people who have an obligation to get a test because they're either going to school, they're going to work, like my son who had to get tested before he went back to yeshiva in Israel, people who have an obligation to do so. That means the universe of healthy people being tested is lesser in our community than in other communities. That is not hyperbole, it's not a made-up thing, it's fact. Walk into your typical shul, ask your neighbors, they're not getting tested. The healthy ones are not getting tested. It's just not our thing. Doesn't mean we can't change it. It just means we haven't been doing it. So whether or not we can bring in locally a testing to actually get a real read, not a fake read based on fake data, but a real read on what's happening locally, that's something we need to start exploring. And we need to do it now so that we can actually show the world that everything they've been saying about us are fake, are lies. Now, when you reduce the universe of healthy people who are taking a test, you are increasing the number of people who are going to be positive. The number I hear when I hear 3% positive is, I know 3% positive is more than 1.5% positive, but I hear 97% negative. That's what I hear. I'm not a mathematician, I'm not, a statistician of any kind, but I hear 97% negative. 97% in our community, in this neighborhood, in this zip code, negative. That's very important. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be vigilant, but it means we have an opportunity to protect ourselves, others, our loved ones. Everybody listening to this has people who they lost, have cousins who I lost, I have Rabbanim who I was close with who I lost, I have, in fact, cousins who were Rabbanim who I lost. It doesn't have, I'm not going to go through every single name, but in this room, at this time, I'm going to mention the Novominsker Rebbe, somebody who I personally have missed for the last 6 months in my ability to ask him questions and to have the guidance that I need from him. And we've all lost people in our community. We've all lost people. My mother is in her year of Avelis now for a loss that she had of her mother in, around Pesach. Everybody has lost people. We are not going to return there. We're not going to return there. We know the pain of losing people in our community, just like every other community has lost people, and we're not going to allow it. My message is to my friends, please. First of all, I get in fitl, and I love you all, I really do. It is a privilege of my life to have an opportunity to stand here and be introduced with such a title. It's not something I ever thought I would have. I'm begging you, please wear masks. It's the one thing I ask. Please, wear masks in the Beit Midrashim. Don't let our yeshivas get closed again. Don't let our businesses get closed again. Don't let our streets become what they were in March and April. Don't let our people lose their parnasa. Don't let our kids lose their education and their lives. And chas v'shalom, don't let our seniors get to the point where we're going to have levaya after levaya after levaya like we had chas v'shalom in March and April. Please. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm sorry. One second. Not done, and I promise you I'll answer Heshi. I love you. Okay? I want to thank you again publicly as much as I thank you privately for everything you do for me personally, for our community, and for our city. And I'll never forget it. And Heshi, I know you're the first guy to jump up. You don't have to call me Mr. Councilman. How long do you know me for?
I know you for many years.
Okay.
You're still our councilman, and I thank you so much for helping represent.
I get gebench yor, I get nkvittel, I get gebench yor. Okay.
And I hope your family's well. My son loves you, by the way. As like you, son, my son has taken the COVID test, and of course we did it independently, which made sure, like by Dr. Friedman, by the urgent care, most of his tests are pretty straight. And as you heard the Borough President say before, he's willing to work with you to oversee a private independent commission, not only with our leaders, but also we should take some independent private citizens to join your commission. My question to you is like Mr. Getz, who sometimes gives out some false information on the community, how do we stop the city, and not the Borough President, but the Borough President is going to help us, and I know we were sure of that, to stop this false information of flowing, of scaring our residents. As I walk to the hospital at Shabbos, or I walk the streets, or like on this holiday.
I'll give you the answer.
People are frightened.
I'll give you the answer.
And again, we don't want to be blackmailed.
Hesh, I'll give you the answer.
That's it. All we ask is the city, as one
100%.
of your constituents, not representing the community, but your constituent. I'm fearful, as I told the Borough President, that these guys scare me, and like Mr. Getz, when he gives out information,
So
incorrect. I will say the truth.
No, Hesh,
I get nervous.
let me give you,
I fight with my wife.
Don't
Mr.
fight.
Borough President, she doesn't like
Hesh,
me for 31 years.
Hesh, don't fight with your wife. Let me give you the answer. The answer is what we're doing today. That's how we combat it. What we're doing today. What, you, me, Borough President Adams, the JCC, business leaders in the community, Askanim, Rabbanim, everybody who gets up and says, It's not about a fax that's coming in from Manhattan. It's not about an email that's coming in from Manhattan. It's not about a letter addressed, dear reporters. Dear reporters, that's how the DOH communicates with our community, dear reporters. It's not about that. It's about us standing up and saying, Oilem, wear a mask. We know what's going on. We know that our own healthy people are not getting tested. We know that that's driving a differential in numbers from other communities. We know in other communities, everybody's going to get tested every 7, 10 days, 12 days because they feel like it. We know here that's not, people are busy. It's not our style to do that. We go seek health care when we need it. It's not our style to go line up and get, free health care because when we're not feeling ill. We have an obligation to continue speaking that. You've been doing it. We all have this obligation. It's not just one person. It's every single person with the ability to spread a message has to be spreading the message that this is real, it still is real, and it could still be real, and at the same time we are being lied about. Those two things could be happening at the same time. We could be lied about, and COVID-19 could still be real. And we saw it. The testing numbers, when somebody is positive, that itself is a positive number. Whether it merits shutting down our entire city, shutting down our community, targeting us with negative articles is a different story. And when people are saying, well, everybody's dying, okay, well, who are these people that are passing away? Who? We don't know that that's true. And when we asked the hospital has not confirmed, still to this day, that a single person was nifted from COVID. So we have an obligation, I'm talking about in the last 5 days, 4 days. So I'm doing 4 days at a time because I'm responding to the one article that came out on Shabbos that didn't give us a chance to answer the question. And the reporter, when he was asked about it privately, his response in essence was the hospital didn't deny it, so therefore he could run the story. That's not responsible journalism. It's not responsible journalism. It is not responsible to paint the target on our community's back. They have been doing it for so long, and I've been talking about it right and left since I took office. 32 months in office. I have talked about this all the time. The media painting a target on our back and then saying, wow, we're the media, we just report. They have been doing it right and left, and this is a new topic. Well, actually, it's an ancient topic, but it's new for the New York Times and New York Post and the various other assorted publications that feel free and happy to do it. And that's my answer. Go ahead. I don't want to take up any more time. I hope I answered your question.
You did, Councilman Calhoun.
Thank you.
I'm wearing a mask for you and the Borough President.
Hey,
Wear a mask for the community.
All right, thank you very much. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank Joe Leisdorfer and Abe Friedman, who helped organize, and I can say true, reliable friends, and are always out there and helping our community in such big ways. I also want to acknowledge and welcome Cindy Rappaport, Alex Rappaport from Asbia, who's here. He's speaking in a moment. In fact, I would like to invite you right now, Alex, if you can please come up for a moment and share a little of your perspective of what the food insecurities and what you're dealing with, and really what really needs to happen. If you can briefly share some thoughts. Thank you.
I get here, everybody. I get Kvittel. Thank you, Borough President, thank you, Council Member, and everybody else who's here. Masks, a good thing. Thank you. You've been doing it for the past 7 months. Thank you so much. We're here to do this nice and balanced approach. I'm sure I didn't hear all the speeches, but what we're trying to do is get everybody to wear masks and get everybody else to a little bit lower the temperature and have a nice conversation. You gain trust from people when we're all in this together type of a conversation and narrative. And that's what we're trying to change the narrative with the help of the Borough President and the Council Member, and that's what this is about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex. We truly, just to take a moment, this is a wonderful community, Borough Park, and we have incredible community-based organizations that I feel I can lean on. And Alex Rappaport has been incredible during this crisis, and thank you so much. I'd like to take this opportunity to hear a little bit about some of the struggling businesses. The restaurant business has truly been struggling so much, and they need our help, and we have to realize how important they are. Elon Kornblum from Great Kosher Restaurants will share a few words on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Borough President Adams, for all the work that you've done. We've met many, many times throughout the years, and you're looking great, so keep it up. My name is Elon Kornblum. I'm the president of Great Kosher Restaurants Media Group. Today, I speak to you on behalf of hundreds of kosher restaurants within our great city. Kosher restaurants, as you can imagine, have been hit hard the last 6-7 months. They've done everything they've been asked. They've taken precautions. They've taken every safety measure that they've been asked. It's been tough, but they've been creative. They've been hustling. They are just doing what they can to stay open. They really just need answers. They just need a plan, a strategy that they can formulate. If they have that, they can put it together. There are a great bunch of owners who give back to the community, whether it's to donate food to people in need or just in general. So, and I want to reiterate how easy it is to be safe. Please, all customers that come in to a restaurant, wear a mask. Social distance where you can. The restaurant should not be the police. They should not be telling you to wear a mask and have the unfortunate decision to kick you out if you're not. So I ask all customers who are coming into the restaurant, please wear a mask, social distance. We want to be able to go to a restaurant together and celebrate many happy occasions, and hopefully with the community's help and official leaders' help, we'll do that very soon. So thank you very much for all your help, and we hope it should be a good year full of blessings.
I have to ask a question, Mr. Coleman.
We're running late, but sure.
The city is charging a 10% tax, and this is also for the Borough President, on our restaurants' bills to help the restaurants. Now, we know the city's gonna take this money and it'll disappear.
What?
Can I-
The restaurant's not taking the money.
Let me
My
ask-
only
yes.
question
Can I answer
is,
the question?
this tax should be done by the restaurants itself, that the city should not have a right
Heshi.
to charge me or
They're
the
not.
restaurants
Heshi,
a
don't
tax.
answer the-
Okay,
Okay.
that's.
Heshi,
we're
I
just
got the
concerned.
I got the answer. I got the
Yes,
answer.
sir.
I heard your
Yes, sir.
question. I got the
Sorry,
answer.
Councilman.
Your facts are unfortunately not entirely correct. The city is not charging a tax. The city instituted a policy that permits restaurants to add 10%, which the restaurants keep. They can do 10%, they can do 8%, they can do 2%. The only thing the city is mandating is that if the restaurant wants to do it, they have to write it down so that it's public, so that there's no hidden charge. You get the check after an hour meal, and all of a sudden it's 10%. The city gets nothing of that, zero. It goes to the restaurant. So a restaurant has to decide if it's good for the restaurant to do it. Mosque do it. If it's not good for the restaurant to do it, don't do it. But it's completely in the hands of the restaurants to do. All the city did is authorize it because under the law, before that authorization, a restaurant could not legally do it. So for example, just like the city mandates that at the barber shop, it has a list of prices, right? That's the price. A barber can't say it's $15 for a haircut, and then after you take the haircut, say, well, you have to pay $25 because there's a $10 surcharge. Has to be disclosed. The city did the same exact thing for restaurants. The city gets no part of that money. It all belongs to the restaurants. And it was done so that restaurants can have the ability to decide if business is booming, we don't need it. If business is not booming and we need a little extra in order to make it worth it for them to open their doors, then they could do it. City gets nothing of it.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for
Okay,
that
thank you. We're
information.
going to wrap it up. I want to, again, thank everyone. I want to thank especially Borough Park Shumrim, who has been here, and they're always here as great partners, and the community is very in debt to you. I would like to conclude by thanking Borough President Eric Adams. Thank you so much for coming.
You know, a JCC, and say, what's the sticking point?
Mr. Borough President, this is Lady Life, a wonderful voice.
Would you like a mask? You want to need a mask?
Sir, do you need a mask?
Need a mask?
Have one, have one.
Okay. Can never have enough.
Yeah, okay, thank you
Share
so
it with
much.
somebody.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
How are you, ma'am? Good, it's inside, okay? No question. Okay? You got a mask?